rock, master, even who rich like a bastard, forever than the audio. I can compare, so the need to compare, so compare with up here, when I can be here, hungry without no fear. When everybody makes each other jump the rock, master, even who rich like a bastard, forever than the audio. Let me the way I will believe the way I do it. I see it, even feel so convinced my blood is what they do. Hey, don't do that dog, don't do that hey, don't do that dog, don't do that hey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday night, here we are back at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. If you're tuned in and you're not on the chat or anything like that, jump on in, join us, share thoughts, ideas, etc., etc. Don't forget we're listener supported. We exist through donations and a few small income sources we have, which are pretty much useless at this point. Anyway, it's time for Urban Revolution with One Iam. Are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here. One Iam is in the house.
All right. Give me a quick audio check there, just a little bit.
What do you want me to do? 1, 2, 1, 2.
There you go. If you could turn your mic up just a tad, I think we'll be good to go.
Okay.
Really? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm going to
Debbie AT&T.
Let me hit
Debbie AT&T. How you know where I'm from?
Options.
All right, you're good. You're good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. I got you from this end.
Okay. Okay, we can start.
All right, take it away, man.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to Urban Revolution on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I'm your host, One Iam, and on my right hand is my chief advisor, Debbie.
Hey, everybody. How are you tonight? Are we ready to have lots of calls, generate lots of fun, and have fun with this subject tonight?
Yeah, okay. Revolution Radio is entirely listener-supported, great radio. Feel free to hit the donate button and help out this worthy cause. That being Unbound Radio, that's going to whistle blow and give you the information to seriously think about. It's a lot to think about too, especially with economic collapse right around the corner. I mean, we bordering on like total chaos with the economy. I mean, worldwide, they propped up the economy with dollars out of nowhere. It's like a table with 3 legs. Or they put one up, to kind of hold it up with phony money. And see how this thing is how it's gonna work, I don't know. But as you can see, the stock market rip-offs have started. They already cleaned everybody out, the equity from everybody's home, and made that disappear. And now the stock market rip-offs have started, dropping 500 and 600 points in a day, cleaning out your 401k. And everything, just a couple $1 trillion missing in one day.
Now, where do you think that money's going?
Probably going toward the debt, but I will hope it is. But
who's padding their pockets today?
Yeah, last time. The last time, it went to the bankers, and the bankers started doing bonuses and throwing parties and everything. And the banks bought more banks. They bought smaller banks.
But actually, those banks weren't supposed to buy banks. If you actually look up the terminology of what happened with that, was the banks were supposed to actually help the small person. But again, they were self-serving purposes and they helped themselves. So the banks actually came out a winner. And even with what's going on in the stock market, guess what?
Yeah.
The banks are still coming out on top. I was in the bank the other day. A 7-year CDs. They used to be, when I worked at the bank, were 5.75.
Yeah.
Right now it's only yielding 2.50. So just think, if you didn't buy one then, I don't suggest you buy one now.
Yeah, well, it's giving you 2.5, you say?
Yeah, 2.50.
Yeah, and inflation is like, what, 10%? So, yeah, put your money in the bank. Well, I tell you what, well, you already know the way things are looking, the bank might not be the best place for your money right now. You know, and a lot of people are going to gold and different metals and things like that. But paper money is not looking that good at all. But anyway, tonight's topic is gentrification. You know, we're going to talk about urban gentrification. Let me define gentrification for you. Gentrification, the buying and renovation of houses and stores in deteriorated urban neighborhoods by upper or middle income families or individuals, thus improving property values but often displacing low income families and small businesses. And that's from dictionary.com, what gentrification is. And then if you look at Merriam-Webster.com, they say gentrification is the process of renewal and rebuilding accompanying the influx of middle class or affluent people into deteriorating areas that often displaces poorer residents. Okay? And like a famous gentrifier is like Bill Clinton. You know, he when he got out of his office as president, he went to Harlem with his office, you know, and the former President Bill Clinton, he had a 10-year lease, and he just extended that lease on his office space in Harlem. You know, according to U.S. Services Administration, Clinton signed a lease for another 10 years for the top floors of the 14-story building on West 125th Street in Harlem. The lease was negotiated by the GSA, which is the General Service Administration. And, you know, the rent is paid by the taxpayers. So, you know, I don't know whether that's, yeah.
Well, according to subject matters that I've done research on, you know, unfortunately, gentrification is something that's very rapid in the larger U.S. cities like Detroit, New York, Atlanta, D.C., Baltimore, all of the places that used to have a lot of blacks of lower class are now actually, because the first one thought on that was that blacks unfortunately were losing their homes fastly, and two, they were thinking that if they moved further out, that they were actually going into a better lifestyle for their children, you know, a nicer place to live. But guess what? In the flip side, then unfortunately the white people says, hey, that property that they're moving out is prime property, so we're going to move into the city so that we can actually get it. Because guess what? They can buy at a lower price, and the people that are moving out are buying at higher prices.
Yeah, going to the suburbs.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I used to think that gentrification was like, and so did a lot of other, you know, everybody I know, like black people, would always be like, you know, the white folks are coming back. They're taking all the good houses and everything, and, you know, they're going to get the city back and everything, you know, and they would be crying that. And I used to always think that was a racial component to gentrification, which there's not. It's an income thing.
Right.
It's not racial.
Right.
You know, you could have gentrification with black folks coming back into a deteriorated, you know, middle class, affluent black folks coming back into a deteriorated and broke down area, fixing up the place, bringing in new stores and shopping and everything, and then, you know, raising the rents and everything and displacing the poor people, you know, the poor residents, whether they be poor whites or poor blacks.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I got a whole new, when I started looking this up, I got a whole new definition of what gentrification is from what I thought it was, you know, because in Detroit, politics and gentrification and everything is always racial, You know what I'm saying? Ever since, Coleman Young used to fight the suburbs and everything. But, it's not really a racial thing.
Well, I think it's just that, a lot of people look at it as a racial thing, but actually what it is just that people are actually going into communities and where there are large amounts of blight, decay, and large sections of just massive destruction, and they're actually figuring out a way to actually build up those areas and make them better and bring them back. And then when they do, unfortunately, the problem is that it doesn't, whether it's black or white, the people can't actually live in that city if they don't have that certain income bracket. Because it becomes, it starts out low and it goes high, and then when it gets to the high point, unfortunately, those that were there that want to come back are unfortunately unable to come back at that point. Yeah,
well, the bougie Negroes that move out into the suburbs and stuff, they're not coming back anyway until the area is white. That they follow white people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They won't come back in while the prices are still low and everything, They'll wait until it gets sky high and everything starts looking good again. And then they'll be like, well, white people came back, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's spend everything we got to get next to them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the only thing is that, a lot of people think they're moving away from Pookie, but Pookie's moving with them.
Yeah, Pookie's going right out there where they at. And, that was my understanding was that, it had a racial component, but, it doesn't have a racial component. It's really about finances and wealth coming back in. I know, like downtown Detroit, the Fords built a new football stadium, and then the Tigers, they put up a new stadium, Comerica Park, and then Illich, the owner of like Little Caesars Pizza or whatever,
right?
He took over the Fox and he renovated that. And then they started tearing down, everything around there and putting up condos and everything, like very near the stadiums.
Right.
And then the condo prices like over $100,000. So the poor people that were living in the Cass corridor and these other dilapidated areas, were like moved out. And yeah, you do have a lot of white people coming back in and taking those condos and stuff, but that's basically because of the wealth gap, between the suburbs and the Detroiters. The Detroiters, they really don't hold the jobs in the city. The suburbanites still hold the jobs in the city. We had white flight throughout the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And they left and went out into the suburbs for the homes and everything, and
right.
And the new malls and all that, but they kept the jobs. They kept the freeways open and the jobs.
Right.
They come back in every morning and leave every evening back out to the suburbs.
Well, with Detroit, the reason why I feel like Detroit actually went into this is, it's the middle class flight from our cities often left our dwelling tax base, decaying infrastructures, dysfunctional schools, and isolated urban underclass. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why that happened to Detroit was because Dennis Archer, Coleman Young had put in place for Detroit to have all the people that held city jobs to actually live in the city. It was a mandatory thing.
Right.
Archer came in and he figured, unfortunately, he'd free up all the people with more money to be able to go where they want. And so with that happening, they fled right to the suburbs. Now, if you go out and look up on Sterling Heights, Michigan,